Tonight on News 5 Live, Corozal Bay Area Representative Dido Vega loses his fight with COVID-19. The National Assembly convenes its 13th session with a ceremonial sitting of the House of Representatives and the Senate. What's the fate of Director of Health Services Dr. Marvin Manzanero? And Leonora Patnett, Belize's oldest woman, turns 107 years old. Details of these stories and much more coming up in tonight's newscast.
It's a fact that your credit lasts longer when using Smart.
and welcome to News 5 Live for Friday, December 11th. I am Sabrina Daly. This morning, news of Corozal Bay Area Representative David Vega's passing spread like wildfire upon learning that the recently elected politician lost his battle with COVID-19. The 47-year-old career math teacher was intubated at a private hospital in Belize City since Saturday, and despite hopes of recovery, he succumbed early this morning. The heartbreaking news of his death sent shockwaves across the country, and especially so in Belmopan, where at the grounds of the Assembly building, his colleagues were taking the oath as parliamentarians during the inaugural sittings of the House of Representatives and Senate. News 5's Dwayne Moody reports.
A moment of silence observed by parliamentarians at the inaugural sitting of the House of Representatives and the Senate in Belmopan for colleague and PUP area rep for Corozal Bay, David Vega, who has lost his battle against the deadly novel coronavirus. The first-time area rep had been hospitalized at a clinic in Corozal for some time before his condition worsened. On December 5th, he was transported to the Belize Healthcare Partners in Belize City, where he remained intubated until his passing this morning. Today, Vega would have taken the oath along with his colleagues, another step towards his goal, which was to bring development to the people and the vision of Corozal Bay.
My party gave me the opportunity to be their representative, and now the people of Corozal Bay have given me their vote of confidence to go to Belmopan. There's nothing to celebrate about. There will be children going tonight that didn't have anything to eat for dinner. There will be homes that will get wet when the bad weather comes. And there are people that cannot afford a laptop to do their schoolwork. I sincerely believe that the work has just started. Yes, we put in work to be elected, but the toughest task ahead is to make sure that the quality of life of our people in Corozal Bay and the entire Belize to be upgraded.
This was the last interview with News 5 given by Vega on the night of his victory in Corozal town, having unseated the three-termed former Minister of Health, Pablo Marin. Back then, he characterized his victory as emotional, having lost his mother earlier this year.
Emotional because of three things, right? My grandmother was an avid supporter of the People's United Party. I wish she was here. I think she'd have been proud of me. My dad was proud of me when I went to school. And lastly, my mom passed this year, and I wish she would have been here with me. I mean, it's a victory for her, I guess. You know, she's watching over me.
He was a fighter, and there was all hope that he was going to make a full recovery. PUP party leader and Prime Minister John Briceño says that even on his deathbed, Vega was thinking about helping his people.
He was an exemplary teacher. He reached out to a lot of young people. He was always concerned and wanting to do things for his community. This is a true story. The doctor who was attending to him told me that the last thing that Dido told him, because he knows the doctor, they're both from Corozal, and he told the doctor, you know, doctor, he said, I have to get out from here. I have to go and dig some drains because some people are on flooding. That shows the kind of man that Dido was, that he was about his family, about his community, and about his country, always wanting to serve. But God has other plans for him. And as much as it pains us and it hurts us, we accept it.
He was an avid sportsman and was loved by many. Florencio Marin Jr., with whom he was very close, was able to hold back tears long enough to speak on the character of the man who was affectionately known as Dido.
He is a son of the soil from Corozal town. Dido grew up an active sportsman. Really, he loved sports, he loved the town, and it really goes without saying. I know we always say this, but Belize and the Corozal Bay Division have really lost a champion. I know I could speak a little bit about his character, where this guy, I mean, he was one determined fellow, really determined fellow as Dido. I mean, I remember the first time he came to see me that he wanted to run. He told me, I told him, I said, Dido, sure, this is a challenging career, you know, so it's not just for anybody. He said, I am as serious as when I wanted to go study and I had no money.
A close friend of mine, we campaigned together, share ideas together, came together to have our own vision for Corozal Town or Corozal Bay. A very hard-working man, you know. He will surely be missed. Definitely, we need to feed off of his motivation because he was a very well-motivated guy, fighting for his people, being the voice of Corozal Bay.
Other parliamentarians extended their condolences to Vega.
A sad moment for us all, and we send out our sincere condolences to his family and to all Belizeans who have lost a loved one during this pandemic.
He fought with us in the trenches during this election, and we are so deeply sorry for his loss, and we extend our deepest sympathies to his family, to his wife, to his children, and to the Corozal Bay community.
Vega was a career math teacher, a father of 2 daughters, and a husband. He died at age 47. Dwayne Moody for News 5.
At the beginning of his official address during the inaugural sitting of the House of Representatives, Prime Minister John Briceño announced that David Vega will be given a state funeral on a date that is yet to be determined.
It is with a sad heart that I inform the nation of the passing this morning of the Honorable David Dido Vega. David, known to us as Dido, would have been swearing the same oath as we did earlier. On behalf of all of us, I extend to his family, to the people of Corozal Bay, and to the nation, our heartfelt condolences to the Honorable David Vega's family. The Honorable David Vega will be given a state funeral, and all flags will be flown at half-mast over the entire country until the date of his funeral.
The unfortunate passing of Corozal Bay Area Representative David Dido Vega before he was able to get a chance to deliver on the promises made to his constituents ahead of the recent general elections will inevitably trigger a by-election in that division. Up until Vega's victory at the polls last month, Corozal Bay had been somewhat of a stronghold for the United Democratic Party under former Area Representative Pablo Marin. Since his defeat on November 11th, Marin has retired from political life. While a date for another round of campaigning and subsequent election in that constituency is a distance away, we asked Prime Minister Briceño to comment on the way forward for that electoral district.
What will have to happen is that there will have to be a by-election. When I don't know, I have to sit down and see what the law calls for, the time, and then I guess both parties then will have to go through their convention period to be able to select a candidate. But I wish not to speak too much about it. I mean, Honorable Vega just died, and I think we need to honor him for what he has done. He was an exemplary teacher. He reached out to a lot of young people. He was always concerned and wanting to do things for his community.
The first meeting of the House of Representatives under the leadership of Prime Minister John Briceño was an outdoor affair in Belmopan this morning. A host of dignitaries and other invited guests were socially distant under a large tent where they sat and witnessed the administering of the oath of office, as well as remarks delivered by the Governor General and the new head of government. At the ceremonial sitting, 2 new women parliamentarians were introduced as President of the Senate and Speaker of the House, respectively. News 5's Isani Caetano was in attendance and has the following story.
The ceremonial opening of the 13th National Assembly was made complete with an inaugural sitting of the House of Representatives, led by Prime Minister John Briceño. From the dais, the new head of government commenced the maiden parliamentary session with much pomp and circumstance, beginning with the playing of Belize's national anthem. Held outside of the Assembly building at Independence Plaza, the gathering saw a majority of the elected officials on both sides of the floor in attendance. Presiding over the introductory sitting was incoming House Speaker Valerie Woods, whose oath of office was also administered today.
I thank the Prime Minister and his cabinet for reposing sufficient confidence in nominating me and to the leader of the opposition and all honourable members for electing me as your Speaker. I am only the 4th woman of 12 Speakers of the House of Representatives for Belize.
On the other side of the floor are Leader of the Opposition Patrick Faber, Deputy Party Leader, and Corozal North Area Representative Hugo Pat, Albert Area Representative Tracy Panton, Mesopotamia Area Representative Shine Barrow, and his aunt, Queen Square Area Representative Denise Sister B. Barrow of the United Democratic Party. They too were administered the oath of office.
I, Abner Perez, do swear that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Belize, and will uphold the Constitution and the law, and that I will conscientiously, impartially, and to the best of my ability discharge my duties as a member of the House of Representatives, and do right to all manner of people without fear or favor, affection or ill will. So help me God.
Following the delivery of the government's speech by Governor General Sir Colville Young, Prime Minister Briceño addressed the meeting.
We gathered this morning in Bamapan on Independence Hill to participate in a ceremony steeped in tradition. Ceremonial openings of the National Assembly have been held 9 times since independence on 21st September 1981. These proceedings, with the attendant pomp and ceremony, are an important symbol of Belizean governance, a democratic Central American nation in the heart of the Caribbean Basin. The Belize Constitution proclaims as a foundational principle that we believe that the will of the people shall form the basis of government in a democratic society in which the government is freely elected by universal adult suffrage, and in which all persons may, to the extent of their capacity, play some part in institutions of national life, and thus develop and maintain due respect for lawfully constituted authority.
The People's United Party, as the government of Belize, is now charged with carrying out its term of office.
On the 11th November 2020, quietly, at physical distance, with minds made up, Belizeans joined lines across this beautiful jewel of ours. Of the 182,815 registered voters, 149,650 electors went to the polls. A remarkable 81.86% of those entitled to elect representatives risked contracting the dreaded COVID-19 virus and solemnly exercised their right. They voted. That secret act, marking a mark on a ballot, is the ultimate act of people's power. I stand here, proud but humble, as the leader of the People's United Party, whose candidates collectively received 88,040 votes, or 58.83% of all votes cast. Therefore, the government I lead has been given a strong and unquestioned mandate to implement Plan Belize.
Reporting for News 5, I am Isani Cayetano.
Preceding the inaugural sitting of the House of Representatives, an introductory sitting of the Senate was held inside the chambers of the National Assembly. The government appointed 6 new senators, and they are Eamon Courtney, Christopher Koyi, Dr. Isabel Bennett, Bevin Kao, Colette Montejo, and Erica Zhang. The opposition, United Democratic Party, has appointed Michael Perifete as lead opposition senator, who will be supported by Sheena Pitts and Aldo Salazar. The NGO community voted to keep Osmani Salas in the Senate, and so did the unions with Elena Smith. The churches have chosen Bishop Moses Benguche to replace Pastor Ashley Rock, and Kevin Herrera replaces Mark Lizarraga as the senator for the private sector. The president of the Senate is now Carolyn Trench Sandiford, who was warmly received by the senators.
It is, in fact, a fitting achievement for a Belizean and a Belizean woman who has earned the respect of the Belizean community at home and abroad for all your work in building Belize, both in the public sector as well as the private sector. As they say, your reputation precedes you. I offer to you the support and respect of this side of the House. I expect that we will be able to conduct the business of this Honorable Senate with civility, equanimity, and to be faithful to the oaths that we took to do good, to do right, and above all, to do justice.
I was hoping that Senator Courtney would have said what he said from all of us, not just on that side of the aisle, because that's how we feel on this side of the aisle as well. I fully concur with what he said. We do know that democracy is not the neatest of things all the time. Sometimes it's contentious, sometimes it's messy. But we all took an oath to carry out our duties without fear, favor, ill will, or affection. Just want to say that on this side of the aisle as well, we bear no ill will nor no special affection to anyone. We will do our jobs as all of us in here have sworn to do, and we fully congratulate you on your ascendancy to the presidency of this most august body.
On behalf of the NGO community and all of us, I'm sure, that you embody the traits that distinguishes you for this post. I have had the pleasure, the opportunity to work with you on several initiatives in the past, so I know the characteristics, the traits that you bring. So, Madam President, I do expect you, I look forward to you continuing in the traditions of the previous president, to be fair and firm, but also to build on that tradition and working with all of us to support the efforts to improve the functions and deliberations in this upper chamber.
I feel very honored that I'm appointed to be senator. I believe that it is important that we have women representation in Parliament, and I believe that as a woman, a Garifuna woman, a woman of Belize who have experienced all challenges that many people have experienced, I believe that I have the capacity to serve as a senator.
It's really standing on the principles. You know, our positions won't always be readily applauded by the administrations or perhaps even by the opposition, but that's our role. Our positions will be based on principle. It will be based on our long tradition of pushing for reforms, improving the system of governance. We feel that, you know, during my time when I was at the Chamber of Commerce, we had pushed many reforms. I intend to continue to voice the need for additional reforms, to review the ones we've done before, to try to strengthen them. And hopefully, with my presence there and working with my colleagues, you know, we'll be able to move the process a little further than where we met it.
Coming up, a 10% salary cut for all cabinet ministers at the top of the new year. And the fate of Dr. Manza hangs in the balance. PM Briceño's address during this morning's ceremony served a number of purposes, including a call to action for all Belizeans to continue adhering to all COVID-19 protocols. The speech was delivered amid melancholy following the passing of Dito Vega, but it also served to contextualize the economic and health and wellness state of the affairs of the country. We caught up with the Prime Minister on adjournment of the House meeting.
It's a somber moment, actually. In my speech, I wasn't too triumphalist. I was more somber and trying to alert Belizeans to understand that we are in the midst of the worst crisis this country has ever seen, both health and economic, and that the government can do everything that as much as possible to try to fix things, but if Belizeans do not participate, if they do not help, we are going to lose this battle. And that's my message. You have to help us. That is why we're telling people, try to maintain your distance. If you notice today, we did not even our families came, because we wanted to give that example to show how serious it is. For Christmas, please, no Christmas parties, and as we said, for companies, we have our frontline workers that have been risking their lives, and that instead of spending it on parties, let's give something to our frontline workers. Let's show an appreciation for them. And instead, again, throwing parties, give food to your neighbors, to people that don't have. Let's share. Let's do everything possible for us to be able to go through this crisis, both financial and health together. And I believe, and I have every confidence that we are going to succeed.
A 10% salary cut will ring in the new year for all cabinet members. The announcement was made this morning by Prime Minister Briceño, who, after weighing the effects of the economic downturn, thought it prudent to shave off a fraction of the monthly wages his ministers are collecting.
Our commitment to a national effort, my cabinet will take a 10% salary cut effective 1st January. I have absolute faith in the strength of the Belizean people. Together, as Belizeans, we will rebound, we will rebuild, and we will restore this beautiful jewel. That is our sacred duty.
Minister of Health and Wellness, Michelle Shabat, today confirmed that Dr. Marvin Manzanero has not been fired from the ministry. Shabat says that Dr. Manzanero is at home recovering from COVID-19. Meanwhile, Acting Director of Health Services, Dr. Melissa Diaz-Musa, is taking up the lead. In fact, Shabat says that Dr. Diaz-Musa will now lead the country's response to the COVID-19 pandemic as a national response COVID team is instituted.
Has he been fired as Director of Health Services?
No, Dr. Manzanero has not been fired. Dr. Manzanero, as was publicized on Monday, is afflicted by COVID. And so Dr. Manzanero is at home at this time, but he has not been fired from the ministry.
Replace?
So Doc was the face of COVID for the past 8-9 months. What this government has decided to do is to institute a national response COVID team. And that team, we feel, needs to be headed by somebody who's been on the ground, somebody who's been at the forefront of the fight. And we have tapped Dr. Melissa Diaz-Musa to assist us in that regard, to head that team.
To head that team, but he being replaced as the Director of Health Services?
There is no replacement. There's no replacement. She's heading the COVID team, and she's the acting DHS for the time being.
Dr. Marvin Manzanero has been the Director of Health Services for several years under the previous administration. While he is at home recovering from COVID-19, his fate as DHS is up in the air. Minister of Health and Wellness, Michelle Shabat, has confirmed that Manzanero still holds that office. However, Prime Minister John Briceño admits that a new course needs to be charted in respect of the national COVID-19 response. So, what will become of Belize's leading epidemiologist?
I don't know as yet, but we do need to do we do need to take a different course. The previous course was not working. The course of just sitting and waiting on the PCR test, the long waits in getting back the results, we felt that we have to be a lot more aggressive than what we were. And so we have to look at what are our options. And I think the Minister of Health will probably inform us more sooner than later what will be the plans. But what I can tell you that Dr. Melissa Diaz is one of the best doctors. She has been out in the front lines in the testing and doing everything possible to try to curb the spread of the virus. So should the minister decide that he wants to put in to appoint Melissa, Dr. Melissa Diaz, he would have my full support. I have great respect for her. I admire the work that she has done, the determination and the love for our work. And this is what we need right now, people that are determined, people that are fearless, people that love what they do and love the work that they're doing. And that is how we are going to get through.
After the break, Education Minister Francis Fonseca confirms that GOB will only be paying for 3 CXCs.
throughout the Christmas season. NextGen, powered by Central TV and Internet.
Education Minister Francis Fonseca confirmed today that government will be paying for only 3 Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate (CSEC) examinations per student, as opposed to the traditional 6. Fonseca says that the government has been in constant dialogue with CSEC, which says that it is not recommended that they reduce the content coverage for their exams, but that they proceed with a delayed sitting of the exam from May and June to June and July, given the ongoing pandemic. Fonseca explains that they can't simply cancel the exams due to a legal obligation to CARICOM. He says that the exams will be made available for students who want to take them.
That entire matter is under review. The ministry has made a decision. We have a legal obligation to make the CSEC exams available to our students in Belize. CSEC, we have worked with CSEC regionally to extend the deadlines for everything, for registration, the deadlines for the exams, the deadlines for SBAs and the content of SBAs. So it's an ongoing process. It's a very important issue, but it's an ongoing process. Even today, this afternoon, the ministry is having further consultations with BAPS and with the BNTU on this issue so that we can come up with more specific deadlines in terms of the commitments we have to meet. But we have made a decision that we want to make the CSEC exams available for those students who need to take them, who want to take them. We have a legal obligation as a member of CARICOM to do so, and so that's what we are doing. But we are also sending a very clear message to our students. It has been a very challenging and difficult year, so we're pressing and sending a strong message to our students and their families. Do not take on more than you can handle. That is very, very important. Students should not be taking 15 CXCs or 12 CXCs. You need to take on what you can handle during this very difficult time, because you have not had an opportunity to have face-to-face instructions. So we know that that provides limits on what your capacity to prepare for the exams. The government, as we announced in the memo, will meet the cost of 3 CSEC exams, including math and English. So that is something that we are providing even in these very, very difficult financial times.
The murder trial of PC Michelle Brown ended today in the Belize City Supreme Court after closing submissions by both the prosecution and defense before Justice Colin Williams. Justice Williams will deliver his verdict next Friday in a case that went on for almost 3 weeks and involves sworn testimonies from 20 prosecution witnesses. Some of the evidence from those testimonies was highlighted in the submissions made this morning. Senior Crown Counsel Shanice Lovell zeroed in on the portion of the testimony given by PC Abner Itza, who had issued police weapons on the day when Brown went on shift. Lovell highlighted that Itza testified he had issued a weapon to Brown and went on to say that she appeared emotional and frustrated that day, and that when her shift ended, she did not accept the offer of a lift to her Holy Emmanuel Street address, as was the norm. That night, according to Itza's testimony, Brown only said that someone would pick her up, but she did not identify who that person was. The testimony of Jerome Velasquez was also reviewed, where he told the court that he was at his Crawl Street home on the night of December 27, 2017, when Brown, dressed in her camouflage uniform, showed up. He said he dropped her home, but he got a call that distracted him for a moment. And when he was through, Brown came back out of her yard and asked him to take her to a bus shed on the George Price Highway. Justice Williams will rule at 10 Friday morning whether Brown is guilty of murder or not. A fire at a residence on the Flowers Bank Road on December 7th has left a family of 4 without a roof over their heads. Tanisha Mivit, her common-law husband, and 2 children lived in a 2-bedroom wooden structure on the property. But while they were away, a fire broke inside the house. All that was left behind were charred rubble and zinc. But Mivit believes that the fire was deliberately set. News 5's Dwayne Moody reports.
It did not make it to any official report, not at the National Fire Service or the Belize Police Department. But on Monday night, a fire erupted inside a wooden 2-bedroom house on the Flowers Bank Road in Belize River Valley. It belonged to Tanisha Mivit and her family, who had relocated to Belize City due to a medical emergency and the flooding. Since the flood water had receded, they were planning to return home, but that's when she got the dreaded message from a relative.
I received a message via messenger from my cousin informing me that my house I lived in, Flores Bank, got burnt down. When I sent my spouse up to check the house, only thing that was left was ashes and the zinc. Everything, all the household items, everything burnt. I had to take an emergency surgery, and due to what I got the cut, I couldn't up and down on the road. It was flooded, and so we had to stay here in Belize City. And we never expected something like that to happen because we have close neighbors, and we thought that was our friends, and we expected that, you know, neighbors should be looking out for each other.
You guys were planning to go back up this week when this happened, right?
Yes, sir. We were planning to go back up this week. As you know, Christmas is coming. We were going to go home and try and get something arranged and what's not, but unfortunately, we can't.
While the house had all utilities installed, the family does not believe that the fire was electrical. Mivit alleges that it was deliberately set. Here's why.
The house was fully furnished, and my spouse said he was looking to see, you know, remnants of some of the household items, and he couldn't find it. So I believe someone went in the house, took what they wanted, and put it on fire.
The National Fire Service was not called out to the scene, and an investigation has not been done to determine the official cause of the fire. Mivit says that they had been living there for over a year and is asking for assistance to recover.
I don't know right now how I'm standing up, but you know, with prayers and everything, you got to put it all up to that man up there, and we got to move on. It's already gone, so it's really sad, but you know, we got to cope with it and try and see how we could survive. And it's hard to begin all over, to start everything all over from scratch again. We had everything in our house, clothes, everything, papers, everything went. And it's very hard to start over.
The value of the house and its contents is estimated at $30,000. Dwayne Moody for News 5.
Anyone wanting to assist the family can reach Tanisha Mivit at 600-0195 or 605-6265. When we come back, PACT grants funding to 2 environmental NGOs.
706710 to find out how SMART's corporate plan and PBX systems can benefit your business. Consultation is free.
The Belize Nature Conservation Foundation has awarded 2 more grants in its 2020 projects cycle. 2 NGOs that co-manage sites in the Belize National Protected Areas system were awarded funds to strengthen the management of their sites. A brief virtual ceremony was held on Thursday to acknowledge the handing over to the awardees. News 5 joined the online session to find out more about how the funds will help to advance conservation work in Belize. Here's the story.
The Belize Nature Conservation Foundation awarded $80,000 in grant funds to 2 registered terrestrial management organizations. The monies are to be used for the management of protected areas in Belize. Chairperson of the BNCF, Amanda Burgos Acosta, presented grants in a virtual ceremony on Thursday.
The focus of the grants is getting the work done, as I call it. So your general management of the protection. So we have education, we have equipment, training, research, enforcement. So there are various fields of which the work is happening in, and all of these grants cover 1 or 2 of these various areas.
The Friends for Conservation and Development received $39,000 to implement a water quality monitoring project in the jungles of the Chiquibul over the next year. According to the FCD, they want to find out the condition of the Chiquibul River, which makes up a significant part of the Greater Belize River watershed. Executive Director of the FCD, Rafael Manzanero, says that there is no data how illicit gold panning, illegal logging, and agricultural deforestation by Guatemalans affect the water in the forest. And they also don't know how a sanctioned activity like gold mining impacts the water quality.
Okay, this refers to the gold mining. You would know that there is a concession that is operating in the Chiquibul National Park for the extraction of gold. Mindful that gold concessions have been granted for the last 40 years or so in the Chiquibul, so this is nothing really new. But all of that, still has not really been, conducted along with a systematic, water quality, testing program. Having said that, then we don't really know what really the condition of the water is. I think we can deduct. I think we as co-managers are concerned because there's a whole diversity of issues, but we don't really have the science. We don't really have the data. So this project that is being funded by BNCF is really to institute a water quality monitoring system on the headwaters that would include then the streams and the rivers, particularly up in the upper limits of the Chiquibul forest.
The second NGO to be awarded $39,000 is the Yakshe Conservation Trust. Their project is called the Remotely Piloted Aerial Systems, which will use specialized survey technology and drone equipment to improve forest monitoring. The issue of deforestation in forest reserves and buffer zones has worsened over the years, and so this grant will help Yakshe to determine the extent of these clearings, and they will use the images and data to strengthen the management of 3 protected areas: Golden Stream Corridor Preserve, Bladen Nature Reserve, and the Maya Mountain North Forest Reserve.
On our ranger teams, for them to be able to collect the data in the field. Currently, Yakshe does not have any of that capacity. We have hired a GIS specialist, and he will be the one to conduct the trainings for us. But our staff on the ground, they've never actually flown a drone. So this project will assist us in acquiring a drone and then also training them in using that and coupling the drones along with high precision survey instruments for a variety of things, including the forest management work. Once you go in, you collect your data, you analyze the data. You don't want to just keep it to yourself. We would like to create a report at the end of this project that will, we're hoping that will become kind of something that other organizations could, follow the same approach, to see, how useful this technology could be in complementing the readily available satellite imagery that we know has several limitations when it comes to accuracy and its resolution.
The Belize Nature Conservation Foundation was established to provide financial support in research, capacity building, and management of terrestrial protected areas through the Debt for Nature swap between the Government of Belize and the Government of the United States. The Protected Areas Conservation Trust is the administrator of the BNCF's grant service. Up to December of this year, 46 grants have been awarded to 12 NGOs and community-based organizations to strengthen the management of 15 registered terrestrial protected areas. Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.
Earlier this week, Minister of Public Utilities Rodwell Ferguson and Minister of Rural Transformation Oscar Requena broke ground for the installation of a solar plant in Indian Creek Village, Toledo District. The groundbreaking ceremony followed a meeting convened with stakeholders to chart the way forward for the implementation of the Empowering Rural Electrification project. According to Requena, the project is part of the Government of Belize's strategic plan to fulfill its national sustainable strategy of 100% access to modern and affordable electricity coverage in the country. He says the project aims to provide renewable energy solutions to assist Belize in achieving universal energy access through the installation of 400 kilowatts of solar, photovoltaic, and battery storage that will serve the villages of Indian Creek, Medina Bank, and Golden Stream in the Toledo district.
We're very grateful for the support that the government and people of Belize have received from the government of the United Arab Emirates, particularly the people of Medina Bank, Golden Stream, and Indian Creek, in which they are going to be the beneficiaries of electricity. Of course, electricity coming from the sun, solar electricity. So we're very grateful. It's a great project. Currently, the plant is about to begin construction, and we're hoping that around June, July, the plant is going to be commissioned, and the people of these three communities are going to enjoy the benefit of electricity.
On Thursday, Minister of National Defense and Border Security Florencio Marin and his Minister of State Oscar Mira went with villagers of San Vicente in the Toledo district. Also present in that meeting was the village council, and alcalde was Toledo West Area Representative Minister Oscar Requena. According to Requena, the purpose of the meeting was to address the issue between the Belize Defense Force soldiers stationed in the village following an incident that occurred in late November. Requena says that a frank but cordial discussion was held, during which it was agreed that both parties will continue to work together to maintain border security and enforce COVID-19 security measures.
The purpose of the meeting was to listen to the concerns of the leaders, and by extension, of course, the community, in relation to the relationship that the community and the leaders have with the troops who are stationed there. I must say it was a very fruitful and a very cordial meeting. I'm happy to see that the issues that were there were resolved, and there has been a commitment from the community as well as the troops to work together hand in hand to ensure that our national security is maintained, and that the Ministry of Defense continues to provide whatever support is needed to the community.
Coming up after the break, 107 years old for centenarian Leonora Patman. Leonora Patnett continues to defy the odds as she reaches another milestone birthday this weekend. Over the years, we've shared Patnett's wisdom and memories of life dating back more than 100 years. And this year, as she gets ready to welcome 107 years of life, she is doing so with the same vigor and optimism. Today we stopped in at Patnett's residence on Wagner's Lane in Belize City for a chat with the sprightly centenarian who tells us that she can read without the use of eyeglasses. Here's the story.
107.
What? You live so long, Miss Leonora. Leonora Patnett turns 107 years old on Sunday. It's a milestone that she didn't expect to reach. After all, there are only a handful of people in Belize who can call themselves a centenarian. I think you may live for still 107?
No, I never think that.
Why?
Well, you know, most people that live, then never live too long.
These days, she can still move around with little to no ailments. One of her proudest accomplishments at this ripe old age is that she can still take her own bath. She spends her days mostly reading and watching TV. Yes, at 100 years old, Leonora Patnett can see and still read without the use of eyeglasses.
I get up and then come out the hall and sit down. And then first thing in the morning, send a pray to God to help me, that I feel good.
And then when you come out the hall, what do you do?
Sit down. Sit down and watch the TV.
Which show on TV you like watch?
I like watch Trump. I like watch Trump.
You move wrong and so by your own?
Yes, because when I would get up going in the morning, I'll go to the bathroom and I have to bathe myself and everything. Well, thank God that I don't feel no way. And I get...
And you still see? You still see? You still see really well?
Yes, I know you get no, I don't have no eyeglasses, so well, I can't see without it. I don't use eyeglass. As long as I know this small writing, the big, how you call it?
Big letters?
The big letters.
So you still read and everything?
Yes,
you read the Bible?
I read.
And Leonora Patnett credits her strong faith in God and staying away from smoking and drinking to be the reasons why she's still alive beyond 100 years old.
Pray to the Lord. The Lord give me that strength for
live so long?
Yes.
You say God help you. What else you think help you? You have to share some of their secret, make people know, man.
Well, the thing is, when I young, I no smoke, and I no drink. I go to church.
The Southside Belize City resident says that there will be no birthday celebration this year, but she'll have cake on Sunday and spend the day with her daughter and great-grandkids. Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.
And that's the news. Remember, when your phone rings, don't say hello. Say, "Gimme 5." That's right. The final night for Gimme 5 starts at 8 o'clock, so stay tuned to this channel for a chance to win amazing prizes. This broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5police.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Sabrina Daly. Thanks for joining us, and from all of us here at News 5, please remember to wash your hands, keep your social distance, and stay safe. Good night.